So there's sort of clamor and a cheer of excitement, although also grumblings of maybe not so excitement as the new Karl is voted in. There'll have to be religious rituals and sacrifices given to kind of like cement the new order. But for now, all of these people are standing around kind of shell-shocked. Like several people have died after the attack or the defense, depending on your point of view, of the Jotunnet who stormed in here to try and save Uthil Coldbrander. When Isvald dragged him into the flaming pyre and tried to kill him, chaos broke out. Most of the people, including the Jarl's men, didn't get specifically too involved in the fight. But some of them rushed forward to try and fight off the Jotunnet, to many of their doom, unfortunately. It would be the night of, so that would have been in the morning, it would be the following night. And there would be people sitting around in the long hall to discuss what's to be done. And the Jarl, the Karl Bjornsson, has departed already, as has Karl Wiglaf. But the Jarl remains, since there was talk of you now heading to his town and getting a ship. He said he would go with you, basically, back to, or walk with you, so it's a little bit safer. And so you're sitting in the long hall with the Jarl, and maybe some of you standing, and he would say, "So, Karl, traditional to sacrifice a bull for these kind of things. Got one?"
Would we have one? I'm not actually.
I would say sure. You'd have one in Ingvik.
We're in a bit of short supply right now, but we do have one.
Well, I'm no expert, but maybe you could sacrifice 6 goats instead. But I'm sure Uthil would know better than I. But a great sacrifice must be made. You've been given a holy responsibility.
Of course. We'll see that the traditions of the people are upheld. Especially in times like this, it's important that things are done properly and in order.
They're not your traditions, though, are they?
I've lived here just short of a decade. I'd say I can call them mine by this point.
Maybe you have. Well, I dwell on these things sometimes. Signs, importance, you know. And he's like, maybe a couple of drinks in, and he's a bit pensive. I hope you're right in going.
I hope I am too. I think I am.
Where will you go?
At the very least. I'm not sure yet. Anywhere where you can get good men. Consider perhaps Gunland. Many worthy swordsmen there.
It's no short trip. And will you raid?
A preferable. Once we have a suitable crew, I think so. Reputation carries just as much weight as steel does. Often, we can build up notoriety. I'll draw people willing to support us, support me, in return for their own glory and their own shot at treasure. We'll dissuade enemies from going against us. We can build up some sort of name. I think it would go a long way.
To a young man with no reputation, he values it more than gold. To an old man like me, I think I'd rather have the gold. But if I were you, I would head south. Maybe into Sodiford, maybe through the inner sea, across to Gunland. But don't tarry too long. We don't know how long he'll stay away.
Yes, now that he's been given reason, I don't suspect an attack is too far. We'll need to move quickly. Even so, I want to make sure that what we do is done well. The people we get are worthy. No use making it quick if it's done poorly.
True, very true. Although, if it takes too long and you've nothing to come back to, then, well.
Of course.
I'd like to introduce you to Sigrid. Sigrid! And he waves over one of his warriors. I'm going to give you a crew, or the best that I can manage, although I cannot afford to give you many warriors. But Sigrid is one of my best, and I would send her with you to ensure that you have someone strong at your back.
A most gracious gift. Thank you. We'll need it, and when we fend them off, I'll make sure that your support is well worth the trouble.
Yes, I'm sure that you will. Well, I can spare you maybe 20, 25 men. They won't all be warriors, like I say, but I'm sure you understand. I'll send some men that I trust to help you. But as you say, I'm investing fairly heavily in this campaign of yours, and you'll certainly be generous in compensation when the time comes, nay?
Of course. Once we establish defense, make up some ground, the rewards will be well worth the investment. You have my word.
Yes, I think, let's say a tenth share, something like that. Seems reasonable, a good round number.
I don't know if you would need me to make some sort of traditions, or if I would just know. Is that a reasonable ask, or is he trying to gouge me on that one?
I guess it depends on how much you get. You know what I mean? If you don't get much, giving him a tenth of it. But if you get tons and tons and become really rich, then it is a lot. But I think it's reasonable for him to ask for that. Maybe it's pushing it a little bit, but he's also providing you with so much,
Yeah, and I don't think at this point that, it'd be one thing if we were on equal bargaining power right now, but we're really not. And so given that, I think Feidhelm would just kind of begrudgingly, you'd weigh it in his head a little bit. Of course, the 10th.
Spits in his hand and offers it.
Feidhelm does the same.
Good then, an accord. Very good. We'll leave in the morning, if that suits you.
Of course, I'll have myself and anyone who will be joining me will be ready.
So there's a little bit of festivity, but also a funeral for those who died fighting the Jotnet. There's a large pyre made. on top of what was the Karl's pyre, and those men and women are burned. What do you want done with the bodies of the men of Uthil?
Would it be like proper to give enemies any sort of like proper burial procedure? Would that be within tradition, or would it be no one really cares?
I think that comes down to you. Like a lot of it is kind of treat enemies the way that you would like them to treat you. You know, if you get a reputation for like not taking care of the enemy dead, then when you die, they won't take care of you. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is really that when you get to Valhalla, everyone is friends anyway. You know, the man who killed you will be drinking by your side, kind of thing. But it's really up to you, and you're, not really from here, so I don't know how much stock you put in Valhalla.
Yeah, I think Phelan would actually probably look to Havisla and ask her counsel on this, because he's not really sure um exactly what he would want to do there. Maybe she would have a better idea of some of the traditional and religious aspects to it.
Yeah, Visla kind of looking out at the dead of the Skolfen. They are not unlike us, and we all wish to enter Valhalla.
So we should treat them with the proper respect in the burial, if I understand your meaning.
We can at least burn them. A separate pile, certainly.
I would have liked, during this time, Wagner to have been busying himself picking clean the corpses of the fallen, ensuring all weapons, all enemy weapons, are delivered into the hands of our men, and seeing if there's any wealth upon them. I doubt there would be, but what would they have, Lloyd?
Yep, I'll put it in the chat. Just give me a second.
Perfect.
Talk
So
much
yeah,
stuff.
I think whilst you're having that conversation, Vizsla, you might have glanced over and seen Wagner sort of doing this, showing that his Skullfin like to ensure that nothing is wasted. In those terms, Wagner is very true to his people.
If Visla sees this, she'd I'll call out to you and say, I'm sure your Karl cannot wait to see what you have gathered, Wagner.
Aye. Everything here will be put to good use, I'm sure.
And certainly not to your own pockets, I hope.
Wagner just sneers at her. He doesn't like her at all, and he isn't particularly good at hiding it. Not that he'd really want to or have the capacity to. And he continues busying himself with the things that he's found. He looks at the Dane axes and 6 hatchets and 9 wooden shields, etc., and ensures that all the gold and all the weapons are divided and placed into separate places for them to be picked up by the relevant people.
So you are meant to either bury or burn a weapon with the dead, at least one, so that they have something to fight with in the final battle. That's why you need to die with a weapon in your hand, ideally. So you bring it with you.
Oh, I know, and Wagner would have done that deliberately.
Okay.
And unless he's corrected and told to do something else, but that's why he's done it.
Yeah, I think since Feidhelm would have kind of come to notice this, he would find the lowest quality of the remaining gear, um, and leave at least something with each of them, even if it's just a dagger. Um, but he would definitely make sure to try to discern which of it was good and which of it was of lower quality to make sure that we're not giving away anything more than necessary.
Sure. So you could like throw the axes with them or something, which are basically knives, you know. I guess there's like a little bit of time where, you know, passersby would see like Vagnar, Kvarl, and Gorm like walking around and like opening the mouth of the dead and like seeing that there's a bit of silver in there and just like taking the blunt end of a weapon and smashing until they're able to pry loose the teeth and maybe pocketing those. One of the men has a particularly beautiful, well-done tattoo on his forearm. That is something that you could potentially take off him as well. It would be something to hang up if you want to tan it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I think he would. Why not? He'd start just sawing it off, and sort of flipping the excess, now thick black blood from it. And actually, he's gonna hurl it at Kvarl and make him do it.
It kind of like wetly slaps him in the back of the head, and he like goes to what it is. He's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And he's like trying not to throw up.
See to it, Kvarl. Vagnar has been deliberately ensuring that he's kind of like at Feidhelm's side quite a lot of the time. He wants to sort of reinforce his position as kind of like the right-hand man, the Iron Fist, as it were. So he returns to Feidhelm and he says, "What is your plan?"
We leave with the Jarl's men tomorrow morning. He's willing to offer us a ship and a crew in return for a share of spoils if we are to return successfully.
Return from where? Where do we sail to?
We don't have the men to fight a battle here, nor do we have the reputation to call for help. So we're going to be doing a little bit of both. We'll try to buy some men, a little bit of some raiding, build up some reputation, build up some wealth, build up a force, and we return with an army.
You see a blaze of fire in Vagnar's eyes at the sound of this. This is exactly the kind of thing that he likes to involve himself in. And he gives a nod and he says, "What would you have me do? What duty do you require?"
Well, we'll need to prepare to leave first thing in the morning. Make sure that all supplies are ready to go. And from there, I'm sure you'll have skills that will be useful to such a campaign as the one we're embarking on.
Vagnar nods and he sets to work, making sure Grom and Kvarl fall to his side as he does.
Arnvid has been eyeing up Havisla basically nonstop since the agreement was made for Vagnar's freedom. It's not like a sort of leer, though. It's more like, it's not like lecherous or gross. It's more like an interest. It's not like he's like wolf whistling. But he's kind of keeping an eye on her everywhere that she goes as the day goes on.
Visla can't help but notice she can feel him watching her. And she's uncertain. Uh, this is something different for her, something new. The times when she's been with men before, it's been part of ritual. It's had a purpose. Not like this. And she's not sure what it means or how she feels about it. But the agreement was made, and she'll stick to it.
What's to be done with Isvald's body?
He'll be given a proper burial. All his equipment. He was a good man. Status of Bjorn's home. No, I do not condone the actions that have caused him to end up in this way. It's the least that we can do to honor his attempt.
Will you send his bones to Bjorn's home to rest, or will you bury them here in Ingvik?
Yeah, probably send them to Bjorn's home if that would be more customary. Like that kind of like is his place. I figure that would be a better resting place for him than Ingvik would.
Yep. So you can select some men, make sure that they bring his equipment, his sword, and they'll bring the bones to Bjornsborg. You'll need to assign someone to watch over that place, to be the sort of elderman there. You can decide who that is at some stage. And so the evening kind of goes on. All this work happening all over the place. What do you think of these people, Sigrid? You're from the Iron Islands, which are richer in every possible way, greener, wealthier. The houses are larger and more comfortable. You've never seen men down there smash the teeth out of a dead body. So desperate are they for wealth. What's your impression of this place?
Sigrid is purposely silent, and there's probably points where just this sneer spreads across her face as she watches the actions of these. Well, she would see it lacking any kind of honor, not honoring the dead. But she's loyal to her Jarl, and as such, she would do his bidding. Though in the back of her mind, there's that doubt. You know, the doubt you get when you follow someone and you wonder, why? Why would you send me with these people? You got an oath breaker, a witch, and a foreigner. So she's purposely silent. She just stands there. As she's called forward, her hair is just this kind of this corn silk blonde, and it's in these two really tight braids. And she carries a war axe just loosely in her hand, a shield slung across her back. She didn't fight when the battle. She didn't see any honor in it. So she has there's no evidence of any sort of her fighting in any kind of struggle. So I guess of all of them, I guess actually when Vagnar starts cutting the tattoo, that's almost too much for her. You probably would see her take a couple of steps forward, and her knuckles would go white, and you would just see these crisscross scars across her knuckles, and her hand would just go tight across the haft of her war axe as she takes a step towards him. But there's this look from one of the others near her, and it stops her. And she just nods. And you just see her chewing on it.
You would have seen Vagnar look over at you like a jackal disturbed over something fallen, hunch shoulders, and returns the look, but doesn't do anything.
The night falls. There is a feast, a sort of simultaneous like mourning of the death, but also a celebration of the new Karl. 6 goats are taken from the nearby farms, and Havisla will ritualistically like cut their throats while chanting, and will like smear blood from each of them onto Feidhelm's face, sort of baptizing him as the new Karl. Nothing untoward happens during that sacrifice, and there's joy and excitement. And the Jarl's men and women are doing their best to take advantage of the hospitality given here. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them realize that they can just drink as much as they want here. And so they're doing that, which is pretty inconvenient for you guys in that you not exactly perfectly supplied. But while this is happening, Arnvid would approach you, Havisla, and he would say, "You're sailing tomorrow."
I'll be going with the Karl.
They don't have to be tonight then.
Very well.
I don't know if there's a ritual with you, or if it needs to be in a grove of trees. I don't know.
She kind of looks down awkwardly. I suppose the question is, are you betting the sailor or the woman?
Are they not the same?
Not quite.
Sailor, I suppose.
Aye. And you can see her almost relax. This is more familiar. I'll get a few things ready. I'll come for you.
And he like nods. He's definitely awkward. You wouldn't think that like this champion, ostensibly like this raider, he's definitely gone rapine, plundering, but maybe this like personal interaction is a little bit strange for him. And he kind of like nods and waits.
So Visla would go back to kind of her room and set things up more like she would for a ritual. She'd have the herbs burning and the candles and trace a few runes out. Just kind of basic protection things, ward off evil. There's not a particular goal that he's asked her to achieve, but at least this is something that she can latch onto.
Yeah, so he arrives not too long later. He's like really nervous about it, and you can tell that he thinks it's a ritual. So like he does like a sort of like a bow almost as he enters the place, and is like very respectful. And the deed itself is like he's letting you do all of the stuff, lead in every possible way. He's not sure what happens with a say there. Like you think that he thinks you might turn into something, or something strange might happen. And afterwards he stands naked from the bed, and he walks over and takes like a shaving knife, and he like pricks his thumb, and he sees that it bleeds, and he like shakes his head. Damn.
Is everything all right?
Maybe it's stupid. I thought, you know the story of the witch of the lake?
You didn't think.
Well,
I mean,
you know, they say that a man took an axe to the gut and he was going to die, and then he went out with his hound and his horse and his hawk and found the witch of the lake, and he was invincible after that. And some people say it was Uthil or Gunnar, and I thought maybe since you were a witch that, you know.
well, unfortunately, I can make no one invincible. But you will have some measure of protection now.
I see.
And she kind of shifts uncomfortably. You did ask for a night. So,
And he raises an eyebrow and smiles. And walks back to the bed.
Yeah, she just kind of goes, if you're done with the Sather.
Yeah, he chuckles and walks back to the bed. And morning comes. He seems in a chipper mood the next day. You guys can see him outside in the square. And he's like organizing everything, which is like his job now that Feidhelm is leaving, and he's trying to get a feel for it. The Jarl's men are arrayed. Everything is made ready. Horses gathered, supplies and things like that. Is there anything you want to do, Feidhelm, before you leave?
Yeah, assuming that everything was sorted with Arnvid taking charge here, he would also try to find another warrior, either one from here or one nearby that he could give Bjorn's home to. One of his ideas would be that if there's somebody in another village in the area that he could offer it to, kind of as like a just to try to like strengthen ties with like a nearby area. You know, give
So
like
there
a
was-
son of one of the other people Bjorn's home or something like that.
Oh, I see. So one of the other Karls, maybe? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just basically give. I want as little reason for the other Karls to mess with me as possible. So I figure
Sure.
if I can give them a gift, you know.
Yeah. No, good idea. So then do you want it to be Bjornson's son, or do you want it to be Wiglaf's son? Bjornson's son was the guy who ran for Karl here.
Yeah, would that be in good form or bad form? Do you think to basically be like, sorry you didn't beat me, but here's this prize? Like, I could see that going both ways.
I think it's entirely on how it's phrased, and like, so if it's like, look, this Karldom is mine, but I think a strong alliance is essential or whatever, I think that could go well. So it depends on how you phrase it, I guess, you know?
Yeah, and that'd be the way that I would want to phrase it. Yeah, I think I'll probably go that route.
Okay.
Send for Bjorn's son, and offer it to him as basically exactly that. You know,
Sure.
like this is mine now, but I think that we need to make sure that we have each other's backs, and I want to at least offer you something so that we can have a good relationship rather than a bad one.
Yeah. So you can like pass that on to Arnvid, and he'll like send a runner and stuff, and you know, figure all that out while you're gone. Anyone else, anything you'd like to do in Ingvik before you leave?
I think Vagnar would have had a moment whilst Isvald's body is being prepared to be taken back. Would he be taken on a cart or something, or sailed back?
Probably. So he was burnt, basically. So there's bones. There's no skin or anything. So his bones would be wrapped in like a shroud or whatever, and you know, brought by horse probably.
Yeah. So did you just have a moment where he'd just stand over the bones, looking at them? He wouldn't say anything, but in his mind, he's just considering that this was a man that had not only gone out of his way to help Ragnar, but was someone who shared his hatred of the man who came to visit Uthil. And he just makes like a silent oath in his mind to ensure that he will be expedient in killing this man.
So as you like say that oath to yourself, there's this of a raven that's like on a nearby building, and you think that that oath is binding.
He just looks up at the raven and he just mutters, "Glad you're watching." And yeah, with that, he gathers his belongings and goes to find Gorm and Kval. If they're not hungover.
Those two pissheads are definitely hungover. They know that there's going to be a long bit of travel and a long bit of duty to come, so they got fairly sauced last night. On their last night, basically, before they go to sea. So yeah, you'd find them both kind of heads buried in their hands in the long hall, where the Jarl's men have gathered, and your Karl and Havisla and everyone else.
Yeah, Ragnar enters and he just gives Feidhelm a nod as if to say that he's checked everyone. Everyone seems to be prepared. And yeah, stands waiting.
So with not too much ado, the Jarl begins the ride out of the town. He's mounted, as are most of his people. There aren't enough horses for all of you in Ingvik, unfortunately. So there's one for Feidhelm, but the rest of you will probably have to walk, as horses are too valuable for like pulling farm equipment. You can't be using them to like luxuriously ride places when you have so few. And you set out in this column. There's 30 of the Jarl's men with him, as well as him and Uthil Wildeye, if you remember the champion. And then the four of you, along with Arn, Bard, Gorm, Kvarl, Steinar, and Bjorn. These are all people from Ingvik or the surrounding villages, who have like decided to give it a go and wander and go a Viking. The journey is uneventful, as you would expect it with so many of you. It's fairly safe route anyway towards the Jarl's village. There's little to worry about. On the third night, you can hear this howling of wolves, but with so many of you and heavily armed, there's not really a reason to be concerned. And the days are like filled with walking or riding, while Uthil tells these mad stories about things that he's done. Uthil Wildeye, all this nonsense that you're sure cannot be true. That he threw a spear over the heads of 9 men. All this like madness. But he does talk a lot. On one of the nights when the camp is set up, the camp is always set up very, very quickly by the Jarl's men. You can see that they're maybe not drilled, but they're like trained enough that like it happens very, very quickly. The Jarl would like sit around and he would tell this story. He would say that he would ask, actually, do you know the story of Lokasena, where Loki came to Aegir's Hall and made enemies of the gods? It's my favorite.
It's been a long time since I've heard it.
Well, he came thirsty into the hall from a long journey to ask if the gods would give him fair mead to drink. And then he said, why do you sit silent? When they sat silent, looking at him, swollen with pride, gods, and give no answer? Prepare for me a place at this feast. And Bragi, who's the god of poetry, he said, we're not going to make a space for you. Not for you, who every time there's a feast come and give insults. And then Loki said, listen, remember Odin in the old days when you and I mixed our blood and you promised that you would never pour ale unless it was poured for both of us? And Odin frowned and sighed and said, stand aside then and let the wolf's father find a seat at this feast, lest evil should Loki speak aloud within Aegir's hall. Aegir is the sea giant. And then Loki sat and he called Bragi a coward. And then Loki sat and he called Sig, Thor's wife, he called her a slut. And every god he insulted over and over again. And over again they told him, Loki, stop, stop. Thor will come and he will teach you a lesson. And over again he said, I'm not afraid of Thor. And you're a stupid bitch. And you're a coward. And non-stop he gave insults. Until thunder was heard in the distance and Loki still said he wasn't afraid and gave insults even to Odin. And then the door was kicked open and Thor stood there with his red hair and his huge hammer. And he said, Loki, what are you saying to the gods? And Loki said, nothing. Not giving any insults. Just being entertaining. Just having a bit of fun. And he ran quickly from the hall. And as he ran, there was laughter from all the gods who knew that Loki was a coward and afraid of Thor. And so every night the Jarl would tell stories like that. He would tell you a story about Thrym, the god of ogres, who stole Thor's hammer, and then Loki and Thor went and dressed up Thor like Freya to marry Thor to the giant, and then Thor killed all the giants. All these mad stories about mythology and of the gods he would tell you every night. The Jarl, obviously a learned man or a man who's very pious, and he would tell you a story every night like that. It's only a few more nights before you arrive at Svartstein, which is the Jarl's town. You can see the castle and these rolling farmlands that lead to this sort of squat castle. There's a thick wooden wall around most of the actual town, and then there's this like sort of like a cliff that leads to a plateau and a stairway that's been a bridge that's been made that goes up. And there's a big stone gatehouse at each end of that and a wall around the Jarl's steading and where the rich people would live. And there's a river that runs alongside this town. And you can see that like docked at the river there are 4 longships, but also several sort of trade ships moving up and down the river. And the people are smiling and they greet the Jarl and his men warmly as they return. All the way through the town, you can see that it's busy. The people seem to be fairly well off here compared to in Ingvik. And the Jarl brings you straight to the docks. You can see there are 4 longships here. One of them is obviously his ship. It's a huge ship. You could put 100 men on it easily. And that's obviously not the one you're getting. And it's not the next one either, or the next one after that. It's the last ship, smallest of them. It looks old, very, very old. Not to say rickety, but old, certainly. And he would say, I'm going to give you the Feidhelm. She's an old ship, older than you are, certainly, Karl. But she's been through it all, sturdy and with a strong spirit. And I can spare you 25 men. And this Feidhelm, which I'll put in the chat, the the head of the ship is not here. You take it off in your own lands. You don't want the scary face to scare your own spirits. You want to use it in foreign lands. But the head you can see that is like stowed is that of a white wolf. And yeah, the sails are a little bit tattered, but mostly it seems to be in good shape. And he says, I will gather the men, make yourselves at home. They'll be with you anon.
Thank you. If she's still a ship fit for your service and your purpose, I'm sure she'll serve us just as well. I appreciate your generosity.
There's a little bit of time goes by while he kind of he says his goodbyes to you, kind of shaking hands and embracing you even, Karl Feidhelm, before heading back to his home. And over the next 2 hours, sort of men and women would kind of drab into the area and kind of stand awkwardly in groups, talking to each other, kind of looking around until they would see that Sigrid is with you, and they would recognize her and then go talk to her and basically get the information that they have to go sailing and Viking. Not warriors. You can tell that by looking at them. They're not all kind of old men and young boys, but there is a boy there who's maybe 16. There is a man with white hair, but most of them were kind of fighting age and seem to be in pretty decent shape. They're not excellently equipped. Many of them just wearing their clothes and carrying an axe and a shield. But it's what you've got.
And Phelan would kind of go over just each of them with a quick glance, just trying to take in exactly what he has to work with. A stronger and more wealthy Karl might be supremely disappointed, but this seems kind of the stock of what he's used to dealing with in Ingvik anyways. With how few warriors they have, they've always had to make do. So this situation is no different to him. He just kind of nods, understanding the situation, for letting everyone gather and begin to load up, I imagine.
Yeah, they load up drinking water. They load up salted pork, salted fish, as much in terms of like bread that won't go stale for a while, hard cheeses, things like that. They load those up. They load up as many supplies as they can as well, in terms of like extra rope, extra sheets for the sail if it happens to break, and things like that. Tools, axes, shovels, sickles, all the things you might need. And then they're all aboard. The Gothi comes, who is the local holy man. He has with him a white dove, which he breaks the neck of and drains the blood into the ship, kind of along the outside of it, making a sort of a line of the ship as a sort of religious blessing, so that you may sail without incident. And then it's up to you. Sail down the river, and then to where?
Lloyd, just really quick. One thing that Sigrid would do before the final preparations are come in the Gothi, she would just kind of kneel down on the earth, and she would get a handful of deep brown soil, and she smells it, and she pours it into this small tanned goat skin pouch. So she would pour it all in there carefully, cinch it up, and she would tie it with this leather kind of thong and put it around her neck and tuck it underneath her mail before getting on the boat. Something that she does every time that she goes reeving.
And so, go ahead.
Say once kind of the preparations were complete and they were getting ready, Phelan would probably gather the others, Gisela and Vagnar and any of the other kind of more important decision makers amongst them. And we'll just, once he had everybody, we'll need to set up a specific course. We have a couple of choices. We can either seek to reeve first, or we can look to buy a few soldiers. I certainly have a bit of wealth that we can spare on it. We wanted to make sure we had more men before we went anywhere. I think out of our options, our best choices are either to go all the way south to Soderfjord or over to Gunland. Let's get some warriors there. I wanted to ask what you guys think first as well.
My recommendation would be to go south to Soderfjord first. From there, we can cross the inner sea and go to Gunland.
And Phelan would actually look over to Sigrid and say, if you had any dealings with either the Gunlands or the Sjöderfjord, any experience in those lands, anything you can provide us that would be of use?
She would smile. My time in Gunland, it would probably not serve you well, Karl. Not well received there. But I will do what I can, as my Jarl has commanded. And you get a sense it's like cold ceremony in how she's talking with you.
I'm sure your Jarl has trusted you with good reason. Your services will be gladly accepted.
Karl, this old man, Galtier. Karl, if I may.
Yes, Galtier, speak.
I wouldn't go to Gunland. It's not easy pickings. Not like those Southerners. Gunland, even the little shitty villages are well defended. They've got steel. Lots of it.
Perhaps then not as a raiding target, but as a place to buy men.
If you've got the money, lots of Gunland are mercenaries. Too many warriors, not enough farmers, as they say about Gunland.
Seem to have come into a bit of wealth lately, so perhaps that would serve me well there.
But Soderford is easy. They don't know. They're not like us, soft people.
Sigrid can't help herself. She spits. You do not want those Gunland dogs with you. They are more untrustworthy than that one there. And she points to Vagnar, the Oathbreaker. At least he has started to prove himself. Would not trust the Gunlander.
And how would they have chances to prove themselves if not given opportunity? Money buys allegiance quickly enough. They can prove if they can keep it from there.
Do you not know the tale of the Gunlanders?
There are many tales told about many people.
They would turn on you as quickly as your coin ran out.
That's what your people said about mine too. And his.
Bjorn speaks up and he says, my grandfather sailed with the crew of Gunlanders, and he said they were the funnest warriors he'd ever seen. That they all had swords, they all had shields, they all had mail, that they couldn't be stopped.
Sigrid knows that's true, but her hatred runs deep.
Yeah.
And she just kind of sneers at him, and you see her bite back a retort. You know, she, not in front of them, these outsiders, she won't say what was on her mind, but she knows that what he said is true.
There's only one thing that men want when they're being paid to fight. And that is to be paid to win a sure victory. Perhaps if we garner more reputation first, our gold, your gold, will stretch further.
Bring a valid point, Wagner. I said money buys allegiance, but that allegiance can be bought just as quickly. Some practice, perhaps, then, in the south. Get these men some blood on their hands, some money in their pockets, supplies of their own, a name for ourselves, and we use that as an additional bargaining chip for more men down the line.
Aye.
Well, unless there's any opposition, then it should be settled.
You see that most of the men are like working on the ship, like getting the ropes and stuff set up and like getting everything stowed away and basically making ready.
So I believe then it sounds like the plan is to head further south to Soderfjord. Perhaps try to find some easier pickings, as easy as it can get to find something to raid. Build up some confidence, some reputation, perhaps some base supplies, maybe even capture a few people to take in, and then go from there. But obviously, the first step is getting out of the harbor.
So Galtier, this old man, basically tells you that he's sailed a lot in his life, and he has been kind of just like pushed into the position of being the person who gives the orders. He knows the most, so he's like set the biggest people to the oars and quicker people to ropes and stuff like that, kind of as you've been talking and organizing all that stuff himself. Ready to sail when you command, Karl.
Good. In that case, you were kind of just like looking around to make brief eye contact with any of the people who might need to object or have cause to. And if nobody gave any indication of like, no, not yet, then he would nod to Galtier and say, well, then we're ready as soon as you can get us moving.
Row, you fucking bastards! He just like switches like that, is bellowing, and a lot of the men are like, what the fuck, what? You, row! And he goes over and like slaps one of the younger men in the back of the head, and he just like instinctively starts rowing. And at first it's a bit of chaos, like these men aren't necessarily sailors, but it takes them a couple of goes before they get a nice rhythm going, and you're moving quickly down the river and out towards the sea itself. So the route, ideally, you would stay close to the coast, as when you get into the ocean itself, there is monsters and you don't want to go there. That's where serpents live. That's where kraken live. You want to try and stay away from there. So you want to keep land in sight whenever possible. You would sail straight down the western coast of Alplot, around the Horn, it's called, which is like a jut of land that sticks out of the bottom of Alplot. Then there's like these straits between Soderfjord and Alplot, which is the only way into the inner sea. This very, very small bit, a sort of crack of land that you can get through. There's several island chains on the way down there, which you'll sail by. But the first 2 days are quick and easy. The weather's good. And once you're kind of out in the actual sea, you don't need to be rowing anymore. You can put the sail up. And so the biggest thing you have to combat is boredom. All these men who don't really know each other very well are standing around or sitting around, many of them playing dice or like playing games and things like that, just waiting, trying to combat the boredom of the sea. As the days go by, you approach the Siorea, which are an island chain. And Galtier says, Karl?
Yes.
We're about to head into Siorea. It's a pirate haven, Karl. Outlaws, they gather here. We could go around if you like, but that would break us into the deep whale road, and they say that a kraken dwells there, Karl, and if it was me, I'd sooner take my chances with the outlaws than the kraken.
I think Phelan can't help but glance sideways at Vagnar, like unconsciously, like he doesn't even mean to, but he accidentally does.
And Vagnar is instantly returning the look. He does it at exactly the same time. And then he scoffs loudly.
Galtie's like not sure what's going on. He doesn't understand the look, and he's just kind of like frowning a little bit. What do you say, Karl? Which way?
Have you had any experience with these outlaws? And if it's just stories, how many of them, how likely they are to attack?
I have been through here 3-4 times. There's a thick fog almost always, and there'll be no warning. They'll try to board us, take us by surprise. I've come here 3 or 4 times in my life, and well, by the grace of Vingthor, I've always gotten away, but not everyone did. Vicious cunts, a lot of them, I say, these outlaws. And Halvar, who's sitting nearby, just goes,
Yeah, it's Phelan's like kind of turning the scene in his mind. Like he doesn't put too much likelihood on a Kraken attack, but he knows that perception of his men here is more important than his own beliefs. He would just look to Galtier and kind of scan across the other people. Say between the lot of us, there's nothing a couple outlaws could do that would do too much damage. Perhaps we can even turn the attack back on them. We can take some of them, more men to row boats, raise up some of the other hands, do more important things. Perhaps it might be worth it.
"Hi, Karl, I give him a fucking mouthful of steel," says Egil, and like smashes his chest. And there's like a sort of cheer of happiness about that.
Men have got their sea legs, but they need their blades wetting.
Yeah, figure be easier to take a couple outlaws than a band of warriors. Be good practice. Get the men in fighting shape. I'm used to being away from home and on the battlefields.
Practice for the Kraken.
Halvar grunts and spits. And so you sail down towards these islands, and you can see already that there is a thick mist about the place. And you see that there's like, I mean, you'd barely call them islands. They're more like stone formations that like jut up out of the sea. So it's pretty dangerous sailing. And as you kind of sail into the mist, we're going to take a quick break. So I don't know, get your stuff, have a drink, whatever else. I'll be back in 2 minutes. So how's Carl done?
Hard.
It's a pain in the arse, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm like so not used to being the leader.
Yeah, the decision guy.
Yeah, even when I play more like confident and like outspoken characters, it's very rare that it's like the final point all falls down to me. It feels like I've been playing for like 4 hours with how much I have to like focus on every tiny little thing.
Hey, Jeff, just remember this. When you do things that they end out really good, you're the hero. But when you fuck things up, all eyes on you.
Just wait till
When
you
I do
become a
things
Jarl.
well, I'm the hero.
No
When I
pressure.
fuck things up, it's the guys below me that messed up. That's how it works, right?
Right, shit rolls downhill. Not in a feudal society, unfortunately.
I get all the
Yeah.
glory, and everyone else gets all the blame.
I'm glad you put all those points in swimming. I can't wait till we do some Reven. That's
Oh, it's good to be back in this setting. I've got the word Druna blasting in my ears. And
that is probably the
Right.
one thing I am not doing. I should be playing music right now.
Yeah, it's word Druna for Iscloff, always.
Always.
Yep.
I always have to balance like how loud I can make it while still hearing what's going on. You know, because sometimes I get swept away and I'm just like, Odin. All right, looks like we're all back. So you are kind of very quietly sliding through the water, which is quite still here. There's this sort of thick mist around the place. And the crew are quiet. They're nervous. You can tell, and they're like listening very carefully. And Bjorn says, "You know, they say that this was once a large island, but that when the Jotun Aegir left his hall after Loki came and insulted everyone, he smashed this island with a burning blade, and ever since the steam has risen here, and the islands have cracked apart, and a spear clatters past him and into the leg of Egil, who's standing looking at him. And there's a moment where Egil is like looking at Bjorn, and then he like looks down at the leg and does like a double take, and then screams in pain and like thuds onto the ground. And then you can hear and all these spears just like whistle past you and like thunk into the ship. And you can then hear like of like rowing as quick as possible. And that's when there is a thunk into the side of the ship. I need everyone to make a deck save, please. Okay, so most of you are able to grab onto something, but the Karl, who is like maybe like staring in shock at Egil, is like knocked bodily, and you like slam into the side of the ship. Luckily, into the side of the ship and not over it. But you're gonna take 4 bludgeoning damage as you like smack into it. And you can see that like the prow of a ship has slammed into the side of yours. There's a little bit of splintering you can hear, like of the wood, and you can see above this sort of like dragon's head. It's got 2 stag horns that have been antlers that have been like attached to it. This huge stag sort of dragon creature, and you can hear this of screams. As like 3 and then 4 and then 5 men just like leap onto the deck of your ship. But you can also hear and pulling up next to yours another smaller ship pulling alongside yours. So on all sides, there are pirates. Let's roll initiative.
Shields!
Yeah, that Feidhelm would just yell out, "We're under attack! Every man who can wield a weapon up here and ready to defend."
Was the smaller boat on our broadside or in front of us?
The bigger boat has, if you imagine that you're, actually have a little diagram. You can see this. So you're the ship in the middle there, the oblong in the middle. One of them has come out and like crashed into the side of you. The other one's pulled up alongside you.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Just doing this list. Hang on.
A practiced maneuver from them, it seems.
Okay, so the from the big ship, these people just like leap down. Thunk, your men kind of get in line and like thunk, 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 get their shields in line, and they're holding, trying to make a shield on either side of you. So it's difficult defending from both sides, but you can see clearly their leader, sort of ostentatious. He's got this this like spectacle helmet. It's got golden spectacles on it, and he has this thick beard that is so blonde as to be gold. It almost like even in the mist you can see that's a little bit of sparkle from it. And next to him is an enormous man with a bear skin and chain beneath it. That's obviously their command, and they're like looking right at you, and they kind of like form up next to you guys. As they land, actually, as he's jumping, this one sort of wiry-looking guy, he pulls an axe from his belt and hurls it. Any goddamn dice. Okay, so he like does a quick look around and he like throws 3 axes in quick succession as he leaps. So the first is a 21 to hit you, Wagner, which I think will do it.
So it does, yes.
You'll take 8 slashing as the axe kind of thuds into you. The second one goes for Sigrid, but is only a 8, which I think will miss. The third one goes for Feidhelm. It is a 19, which I think will hit.
At the last minute, Sigrid has this long spear, and I'm going to use her guardian ability to try to bat that axe down as it's about to hit Feidhelm.
Sure.
So it'll be disadvantage on his attack.
Okay, yeah, so you do. It comes towards him, but you're able to like smash it away at the last second. Okay, Feidhelm.
Yeah, Feidhelm seeing Sigrid do that would kind of just give a quick glance over and just a nod, not only of appreciation, but like, okay, the person the Jarl gave me is got some moves. But doing so, he's gonna turn back towards this person who just made this attack. Gonna pull out one of his throwing spears and just let it hurl at him. Ooh, yeah, that's probably gonna 23.
Sorry, is this at the guy who threw at you?
The man who just attacked us, yeah.
Sure. Yep, that definitely hits.
Alrighty, and that is going to be 10 piercing actually from this throwing spear. As Feidhelm just like half sit and just with the quick just woof, it strikes right at him.
So you said 10, yeah?
Yeah, 10.
Okay, cool, perfect. Yeah, it's a pretty brutal blow. The spear like catches him in the thigh and almost like turns him around and onto the ground before he catches himself. This golden, you're finished, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just gonna use an interaction to pull out a second throwing spear. The reason that I'm doing so is I actually have an ability, the Whipkern feat that I have for being a Ton. So the next time somebody enters into my throwing range, which is 50 feet, I can make a reaction to opportunity attack them. So
Okay,
just
so
watching for whoever approaches, I'm going to try to do that.
they're all in that range already. But I think if they move towards you aggressively, I guess, because they're already all in that throwing range. You know, they're only like maybe 5 or 10 feet away from you.
Okay, yeah. In that case, they wouldn't apply in this scenario since
Okay.
it's only when they enter the
Okay.
first range band.
Yeah, because they literally like jumped off the ship a couple of feet from you.
Okay, yep, fair.
No worries. So Skander, Goldenbeard, this obvious leader, he like is singing this battle song and he's like bashing his axe against his shield, and he like steps forward and he's going to try and fuck your day up, Wagner. Yeah, perfect. If you want to pre-roll, guys, that's no problem. That'll be convenient even. Okay, so he gets a 16 on the first, which I think might hit. I'm not sure.
16 is my armor class, so
Okay.
yes, he's made it.
Okay, so he swings his. Need D8s. He's got a war axe, not quite fine enough to be a sword, but something approaching it. And he swings. Ooh. For 11 slashing damage.
Motherfucker.
Full damage. I also need you to make a grit check, please.
Oh, that's good. I think I have proficiency in that. Let me see. Great. Okay. Yes, excellent. Okay. It's a 16 on the die.
Okay, no, you're good. So you can see that like he tries to rake across your face, but you bring your forearm up and you manage to block it with that, but he was going for your eyes. So that's his first attack. His second, he's going to, as he swings the sword up, he's going to bring it down and try and hit you with the pommel. Okay, that's a 17, which will hit as well. That's only going to be 5 damage, but I need you to make another grit check.
Okay. That's a 17 on the die, so if it's the same.
Yep, no, you're good. Again, he like tries to bring it down like between your eyes to try and blind you, but you're able to like parry the worst of it. You get another cut on your forearm. But yeah, okay. So his third attack, he flings it with a kick. I know, he's a boss. Flings it with a kick. Okay, but it's only an 11, so he misses. So he swings upwards and then downwards, and then as he sees you like block or whatever, he tries to swing a quick kick at your crotch, but you're able to dance back and avoid getting hit. There is a man with them, and he has an axe in one hand, but he also has a drum, like a sort of bowron, if you know what that is, like a sort of carrying drum. And he just begins like he puts the axe in its sling, and he pulls out this little thing, and boom, 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 ba-boom, ba-boom. And he starts to sing this song about Skander and about these people, these like fucking pirate bastards, and how brutal they are and how vicious. While he's singing that song, if any of you receive a critical hit, everyone who sees it within 10 feet has to make a save or become frightened from the song. So that's what he's doing. Wagner, it's your turn.
So Wagner is staggering back after this flurry of attacks from this sea dog. And as he's staggering back, he knows that he's going to have to be unpredictable as this guy if he's going to stand any chance. He is severely injured by this point, but he wheels around and he darts forward into a lunge. So if none of my allies are near enough, which I think I will be further enough away.
I think it depends. So what I have it in my mind is that you guys have moved to face these obviously superior bad guys, while most of your men, or the rest of your men, have gone to the other side to face, because most of their men are coming from the sideways ship. This is like sort of the spear tip that's come off the big ship, so you're facing them. If you wanted to move away, you definitely could, if you want to make some space.
Yeah, I just need to break rank if I'm going to land my extra damage, which Wagner's going to do. And he makes an attack, which was 22.
Hit for sure.
Perfect. So with the extra damage, that makes it 15 damage in total. And Wagner is then going to use his cunning action to get the fuck back behind the ranks. Because ouch.
Yeah.
And that's his turn.
So this vicious little blow. What have you got? A War's Axe as well? Or do you have daggers or what?
Yeah, War's Axe, yeah.
Yeah. So vicious kind of blow catches him behind the leg, and he kind of stumbles for a moment. There's a spurt of blood. Thrand the bear, this enormous man who's wearing a bear skin and nothing else, totally naked. He's got tattoos covering him. He like beats at his chest, and he's standing opposite you, Sigrid, and he's gonna basically just try and batter you with his fists. So the first one is going to be a 23. The second one's definitely going to miss. But the first one, he like goes to punch, but as you kind of move back, he actually slams his elbow into your face, which is going to be 9 bludgeoning damage. And that's it for him. Sigrid.
Yeah, I imagine Sigrid opened herself up to that first blow as she was reaching with the long spear to knock the axe aside. And her head is just ringing as she reaches, drops the spear, clatters to the deck as she pulls from the hoop her I think a war axe. You can use it two-handed, right? She doesn't have her shield out, so she's just two-handed right up into this guy. So I got to re-roll my damage because I didn't realize I was going to get pummeled to hell, so I rolled the wrong damage die. Well, actually, I don't even know if I hit this guy. I got a 12, 4, 6, 17 with the plus 1.
That hits.
Yeah, okay. So that's a D10. 7, nice. 11 slashing to, what's his name? Thrand the bear. So she just kind of lops up on him. And she tries to shift her feet to put herself between Feidhelm and this big brute of a dude.
No problem. There's a spears that like clatter into the deck from the ship that's in front of you. They go over your head, but you hear a few from behind you as some of your men take spears. At the same time, you can hear your men kind of like being exhorted to greater heights. You can hear Torstein like grunt as he like picks up one of the pirates and fucks him overboard, and you can hear all sorts of like sounds of battles and screaming behind you. You know that there are more of them than you, and that this is you're kind of attempting the same thing they're attempting, which is the spear tip, like cut off the head of the snake and maybe the body will die. Havisla.
Visla, it seems pretty clear that the golden beard is the one in charge, yes? So Visla,
Yes, definitely.
she pulls out a small dagger and she digs it into her thumb, and she licks it and then presses it into her wrist on her other hand and casts Hold Person.
Bum, 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 bum. It's the big guns.
It's a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. That's his specialty. What's their DC?
11.
He gets a 7. So he's like battering at Ragnar, and he's obviously a capable warrior. You can tell by the amount of like wealth that's on him. But as he's as Ragnar kind of moves back and he kind of lifts up his sword to strike, he just stops. And you can see his eyes are moving, but he's unable to like move anything else. Stopped dead.
And Visla would call out to Feidhelm. I've held him for now.
Okay, nice. Hauker, the hurler, sees you cast a spell, screams, "Witch!" And throws 3 axes at you. A 15, a 12, and a 9.
So shockingly, only one of those hits.
Wow.
Oh,
Lucky.
no, I'm sorry, the 12 hits too. I have a really crap armor class.
16 total from the 2.
Oh, God.
So these 2 axes. And this guy's like a blur, but you can see that now he's out of axes. Like he had 6 kind of wrapped around his belt, and he's thrown them all now. He has like 2 daggers as well. But the axes just one of them kind of sails past you, but then one of them catches you in the shoulder, and the third catches you in the leg.
That bloodies me in, I guess, one turn, not one hit.
Yeah, not one hit, luckily. Feidhelm.
Feidhelm, hearing Visla's words, would turn and just yell, "Commander is held! Everyone ready! Attack!" I'm going to use called shot. So Ragnar, Sigrid, Visla, and if there's any other allies within the immediate area, they'll all be able to make an attack as a reaction.
Oh, fuck. Okay,
Wait,
so
we all get an attack?
Yep.
After you.
you all get an attack.
So
Feidhelm
you
is
scream that out,
recommended to be directed at the leader, but it'll be up to you guys to have your own attacks where you want them.
You can hear this roar of like Odin from your men as they all just like as one sort of like in 300 where they push swack. That sort of happens. There's like this as a bunch of hits rain down on that side.
Really quickly, what sort of armor did you say he was wearing? I remember you described the helm in great detail, but what other kind of armor is this chief wearing?
Chain. Good chain.
Sigrid yells, "Push him to the sea!" Because he's at the head of the boat, right?
So he's if you imagine like their boats come this way and yours is here, and they've kind of jumped off to land
This is
on
the
yours.
boat that's so they're on our boat.
Yeah.
It's nice, perfect. She's gonna yell that. I mean, it just as a free action, but I don't care. I don't know what everybody else is gonna do. I'm the last to act, so.
Yeah, you each get to make a reaction attack.
Visla like kind of grabbed one of the axes that hit her and tried to throw it, and it like clunked against the deck uselessly.
That's fair.
This dude is held, so like, does that mean
You have
I know
advantage.
I have
on your
advantage?
attack. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought
And if
so.
you hit, it's a critical hit.
exactly.
That is a 22.
Yeah, that's a crit. So give me your.
Do I get my extra damage as
Yes,
I'm
of
attacking
course.
back with the thing?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
So that is. That is 26 points of damage, as I like to think Vagnar was thrown back by this dude again. And he's rising up as if to hit Vagnar, but then that's when he is frozen. And Vagnar slowly gets up and just rams the sword into his genitals.
Oof. Okay, let's see. Do you want to roll me a d12 and then a d20?
Oh yeah, let's see where he actually lands the hit. D12, did you say?
Yep.
D12. That is a 10.
Okay, that's his leg.
Close enough.
Yeah. And a d20, please.
And the d20 is a 3.
Okay. So this is not the correct table. Hang on. It was telling me you hit him in the armpit, even though it was the leg, so that cannot be true. Oh no, piercing. Okay. So you pierce 2 inches into the meat of his thigh. It gives him disadvantage on attack rolls due to the agony, as well as reducing his movement speed by 5 and their armor class by 1 until the end of the encounter.
Yeah, and as Vagnar makes a strike, he looks over at Sigurd and says, "No, we will use his mail for our own."
Nice. Okay. Feidhelm, or you don't get to make an attack, Feidhelm, right? But Sigurd does.
Yeah.
I believe we have advantage on the attack, right? Because he's held.
Yep.
All right, cool. So I do hit, I think, with a 19 if I still have the +1 from Feidhelm.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what Sigurd does is, as she's ducking under the second blow from that large bear man, she reaches with her other hand as she lets go of her war axe with one of her hands and pulls out a hatchet and whips it across, and it just flies like a movie slow motion styles right above Vagnar's head, thump, and hits into his chest. It's a D6.
It's 2d6 because it's a crit automatically because he's paralyzed.
All right.
And then I also need you to roll
I rolled shit, so I did 7 points of damage, but
wow. Then I also need you to roll me a d12 and a d20.
D12. I never rolled that die. A 3.
Okay, 3
and a 19.
Oh, 19 is going to be really bad news for this guy.
Yeah, this is going to be nasty.
3 is torso. 19, I think, might be death. What is it? It's slashing, right?
Yeah. So it's just
leg, body. Okay. Oh no, this is the worst one. It's the worst one.
Is it? Yes.
So it goes, and then just like thunks and slashes across and like cuts through a bunch of the mail, and it cuts like through his belly, lacerating his intestines, and they spill onto the floor of the ship like a steaming pile of goo. Right, he needs to make an immediate save, which he fails because he's paralyzed. Okay, so he's going to die in 1d10 days from the fact that his guts are no longer inside of him. If he doesn't die now, so he's like standing there. He's still got his sword raised like this or whatever, perfectly exposing like his midriff to you, and just like slices across, and there's just like this splat of guts, and there's this big sort of like steam rising up. His eyes are like wide, but he can't move as he stands there. There's like this horror that goes through his men as they watch. Okay, so then it's still Feidhelm's turn.
Yeah, so Feidhelm just seeing this is just gonna shout, "Your leader is doomed. The men will rout. Fight!" And he begins like pounding his shield, and just it's like almost like a mixture of singing and howling, like just trying to outroar this other singer on their side who was singing. As he begins singing his Ton battle song. So if anything causes us to make fear saves, we'll have advantage on them for the fight.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, nice. Okay, so that was you. Skander is going to make a save and try and break out of this goddamn paralyzation so he can die in
I'm
peace.
going to use my Skeins of Fate to make him roll a 5 on it.
Okay, so he fails that. So he is still paralyzed. The singer is still singing. He's going to concentrate on that, but he is going to draw that axe and he's going to rush forward. Let's see. I think it's got to be to Sigrid after what she's done to the captain. Okay, so it's a critical hit. Oh boy. Okay. So it's just an axe. You'll take 9 slashing, and then it's D12, 7, and oh boy. Oh, Jesus. Well,
I'm not liking the sounds of any of that.
It's really, really bad.
Welcome to the game.
Yeah,
I wish I had my shield on a second sooner.
welcome to the game. Say goodbye to your left arm.
Yeah. Oh no.
So your left arm is severed at the elbow. Blood pumps out in bright spurts, and you suffer a chance of fainting from blood loss each turn until it's staunched. Requires 2 full turns of bandaging or a good burning cauterizing the wound. If left unattended and unconscious, he will bleed to death. So this, I guess you're looking at the guy you've attacked, right? You've thrown the axe, and maybe you even go like, ah, as you see his guts split, and then there's just like this, and the left arm from the forearm just splats onto the ground. There's this of blood, like a Tarantino-esque sort of like as arterial blood sprays all over the place. And you can hear him. He almost falters in the song, like he isn't expected at all. And there's just like this blood spraying everywhere, and that is that. So I'm going to need you to make a wisdom save each turn, not to pass out. Yes, now all of you need to make a check against fear, but you have advantage because of the song. So it's a wisdom you're making save.
I got a 16, so
Okay.
I don't know if that's enough.
Yep, that's enough.
Yeah.
I got 18.
Okay, nice. 15 is enough
Thank
as
you
well.
for advantage.
Yep. So you guys, you understand now why he's singing and why this wrath and ruin song exists. Like, these guys are not fucking around. But you're emboldened by the singing of the tone. Okay, Jesus, that was fucking brutal. Fucking first game, lose an arm. Jesus. Vagnar.
Yeah, Vagnar turns to look as that axe slams into his foe in front of him, and then the punishment returned for such a thing so vile, but he has to concentrate. So he hurls himself back at the man who is still held still, and he's going to do exactly the same. He's focusing on one target.
Go for it.
So I'm sorry, I should have pre-rolled. That is a 19 on the die, so I'm assuming that's going to get hit.
Yeah, you have advantage. I mean, you're going to crit anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So that's
this poor man. I wish he would die.
oh my god, that's even more. That's 20. That's 28 points of damage in total. With the
that actually does it. So you can tell me how.
So Vagnar is basically is a little confused why he still isn't moving, even though his guts are like sliding from him. So he just jabs the war axe into that open wound and just slices up to his throat, and then he just kicks him to the ground, and then whirls around and moves to take cover by Sigrid, and is going to grab her arm, or what's left of it anyway, to try and staunch the bleeding.
No problem. So you like kick him, and he like falls into the groove where the rowers sit. His body like bends, and there's a kind of disgusting squelch as he hits the deck. That was Vagnar. Thran the bear looks in horror. He is going to turn, and he's going to see Feidhelm. He's going to move towards him. He's going to get an opportunity attack from both Vagnar and Sigrid.
Sigrid actually can't make an opportunity attack because she was holding her war axe in the arm that just got hacked off. So
actually, I think used your reaction already, so unless you've had a turn, Wagner, you have, so you can go. Oh god, that arm, so brutal. Okay, 15 will hit him. Yep.
Oh, it does. Oh,
Yep.
okay. It's just a standard attack, though.
He's naked. Yep.
Let's see. That is 11 points of damage.
Nice.
As I sort of just slice up his side.
Nice. Feel it or notice it. He's obviously in some sort of state, a trance, it looks like. There's like foam in his mouth and he's going nuts. He rushes towards Feidhelm. He's going to grapple you, Feidhelm. So I need you to make an athletics check, please.
I'm looking at a 16.
Okay. Yep. So he grabs you. His two meaty hands, one under your left armpit and the other one kind of grabs under your right knee, and he just like picks you up, and he's going to try and throw you over the side of the ship. So he's going to move in that direction. He's going to do that. In fact, he doesn't have to do anything. He has you grappled. He still has movement. So he's going to do that. He grabs you and just like moves. You can see that like people are trying to slash at him or whatever. Wagner is trying to get him before he gets there. He just gets to the side of the ship and splash into the water. That's him. Sigrid.
All right. I think I have to make another wisdom save.
Yeah.
Is an 11 high enough?
It's not.
Okay.
So then
Perfect.
So percentile.
Oh no. What's that? What's that, precious? 26.
Okay, you don't immediately fall unconscious, so that's good.
Oh, okay. But she's just bleached white.
Yeah.
There's this blood just like out of her hand, and Wagner is trying to stop the blood. She just reaches down. She goes into like auto pilot mode. She just reaches down and picks up the war axe and runs and just tries to drive it into the back of the bear, even though blood is. So she like pulls her arm free of Wagner.
Yep.
Let me see if I can hit him. Let me see. I think this is one-handed.
Yeah, it's gonna have to
be. All right. Do I still get the +1 if he's thrown overboard, or do I? Because I have 18.
I don't know, actually. I don't know. I think you have to be able to see and hear him, so I don't think so.
Yeah, no, perfect. I think an 18 will hit him.
Yeah.
And I rolled max damage, 12 points of slashing damage as she brings this war axe down on his back. And what the hell? I'll action surge.
Nice.
Because I don't know if I'm going to make it through this fight, so I'm going to miss on that one. That's an 11.
Okay. Yep. So the first one gets him in the back, and he like turns around for the second one and like
thunk into the wood.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus, fuck. This is grim. Spears sail into the guys behind you, and you can hear your own line. They're fighting strong, and they can see that like their leader is dead, and so there's a cheer. But they see Feidhelm go over the edge, and there's a roar of shock. Wisla.
How close is the bear guy and Feidhelm overboard to me?
The bear guy is probably 6 or 7 feet away from you, and Feidhelm is just over the side of the ship.
How injured does the bear guy look? Does he look like he's about to turn around and smack all the rest of us?
He looks like he's about to open a can of mead.
Oh, super. Wisla is going to cower. She's not a warrior. She's going to move to the back and try not to die and keep her eyes open for Feidhelm. She'll like pick up some rope and ready in action, and if she sees it, she'll throw it down to him if she can see him.
Yep, perfect. Good idea. Okay, that's Wisla. So we're back to the top. The hurler is now out of things to throw, so he pulls these 2 daggers and he rushes forward towards you, Wagner. And he's going to try and shank you.
Shit.
Try and shank you. Let's see if we can manage it.
16. I was armor class.
Ooh, he gets a 15 and a 14. So close. So he's like, he comes up to you and he's got the two daggers, which is a style you know well. And he's like, and I imagine the two of you are like quickly moving to the side or whatever, a sort of very up close sort of fight. Maybe he grazes you once, but it's not quite enough. Feidhelm, you see darkness and blackness, icy cold water, and you can suddenly the sound of battle and the ringing of steel is distant. You are underwater.
Yeah. Luckily, Feidhelm does not have metal armor. So
Thank
he's
God
going
for
to
that.
yeah. So he is going to attempt to try to orient himself if there's any sign of light one way, dark another that he can attempt to find. Will do his best to get to the surface.
Yeah, for sure. You can make me an athletics check. Is it light armor you have or medium?
It's a leather jacket, which I think is medium. I think that might
it's
be the
medium.
medium.
Yeah, if it gives you disadvantage on stealth, I would say that this will be with disadvantage because it would be heavy enough.
It does not give disadvantage on stealth.
Okay, so then you're good. Just athletics.
And that is actually a 17 on the die, 21.
Okay. Yep. So you're able to like right yourself. Even managed to hold on to your weapon and like swim. Although I think you'll have to drop the shield if you have one because I don't think you could swim with a shield. Even
That's
with
fair,
it, I don't
yeah.
think it's possible. You know, I don't
Yeah,
know that they
no,
would
that-
float.
that's fair.
They're metal rimmed and stuff. You know, I can't imagine that it would be possible to swim with a shield. Unless,
Yeah, he would.
what do you guys think? I don't know. I think it would be very difficult.
I mean, there'll
I
probably
think,
be
I think it'd be
shields on
really
the
hard to
ship.
swim with a
Don't-
shield.
There'll be shields on the ship.
Yes.
There are
Yeah.
plenty of
Yeah.
dead men now.
Yeah.
Plus, the
Yeah.
shield is probably fairly big too.
Oh yeah, really big. Okay, so you like manage to shake that off your arm. Maybe like you have to bite the belt underwater and pull it off your arm, and you're able to swim back up to the top. And like,
And then a rope.
Yeah. And if I have any movement or anything left to grab the rope with, I will
Yeah.
do so and make it as far up as I can.
for sure. So Visa can like take an action on her turn to like help you, and then you can get back in the ship. Okay, that was Feidhelm. Skander is very dead. The singer is standing behind Sigrid with his like axe raised. He's still singing, and he is going to try and swing for you. He tries, but it's like his hand is slick with blood, and he like goes to swing, and it just like falls out of his hand and thunks onto the floor of the ship. He's covered in blood, absolutely covered in it, like painted red. Okay, that was the singer. Vagnar.
So Vagnar was going to lunge at the man who was in the trance, who had done that to Feidhelm, but then this guy steps in his way, wielding these daggers. I'm going to be honest, I was going to say I was going to switch out to the daggers, because Vagnar's mind goes back to that battle when he fought someone who had similar talents
Yeah.
and knew how effective that was. So he is going to fight the daggers dude in front of him instead. I pre-roll with an attack of 19.
Yep, that's a hit.
And it's up to you whether or not I get my bonuses. Do you think I'm far enough away from my allies? I was trying to get to them after all.
No, I think you're next to Sigrid at this stage.
Okay, then in that case, I don't get my extra damage. So instead, that is just 9 points of damage as I slice into him with my flint daggers across the abdomen.
He looks pale and sickly, like he's not got much left in him. Okay, Vagnar. Thran the bear is like standing on the edge of the ship, and he can see that like Feidhelm. You can actually see the process, how slow his brain is working. Like he like looks and he's like leaning over the side. He can see that Feidhelm surfaces, and he can see the rope, and then he like slowly follows the rope, and then sees Visla, and then like his head turns, and then his shoulders turn, and then his legs turn, and he like begins moving in that direction. You can hear this like sickening like crack of his knuckles as he approaches, and he's going to try and punch you in the side of the head, Visla. Oh, he gets an 11, which I don't think will hit you, right?
Oh my gosh, I think my AC is 12. And misses. Woohoo!
Okay. So that is, unfortunately, here's another attack. And that's a
Yes.
7. Jesus Christ. Okay, so he comes up to you. The runes that you have carved into the various talismans you have on you are obviously working overtime. And as he comes, he slips in some blood, and his first attack is clumsy, and you're able to move to the side before the second one comes around. He swings over your head. And that was Thrand. Sigrid, your turn. I need you to make a wisdom save.
Yep, 13.
Okay, you're going to need to roll a percentile, please.
All right, that's what I thought. 25.
You're still good.
Oh my god. I don't think you could be any paler, but she is. And this is just splash of her own blood is across the left side of her face. It's like she doesn't even realize her arm is not there yet. She still moves her arm like the hand is still attached.
And you're just painting the ship in blood every time you do so. It's spraying out.
And she's getting weaker, but she's just too stubborn to die yet. Who's the closest enemy? Would it be the bear? Or would it?
It's either the singer or the.
No, I'm going to hack the shit out of that dude that was hucking those axes. The one that Vagnar just cut across his belly. Going to use that opportunity. So she just brings this war axe across, try to take his head off. 15, 19, 9 points of slashing damage.
Excellent. Yep.
And I think I will second wind to get some hit points back.
That actually kills him. So you swing the axe upwards, and it just catches him under the side of the jaw, and there's this awful as his head rolls off.
Yes.
Down to the ground. So that was the hurler. Okay, he's gone.
Yeah, and then I guess Sigrid would start to move towards the bear, but I would say, geez, with the blood loss, she can't do a full movement, so she kind of just staggers. And Vagnar would see as she kind of walks by that she doesn't have much left.
Well, the singer is still next to you as well. He's still where
the singer.
you are.
Okay, so it would be the singer. She would stagger towards the singer, probably make a weak swing with the axe at him, and he'd just easily get out of the way of it.
No problem. Okay, so then... Oh, thank you. Where are we? Sigrid. Spears. Your side is starting to falter. You can tell. It's starting to happen. They're not trained warriors, most of them, and they're holding off these guys as best they can. But you can see that without Feidhelm around, and with the blood spraying everywhere from the only professional warrior on the ship's wound, they're starting to get a little bit worried. Visla, your turn.
Visla uses everything she has in her to help haul Feidhelm up on deck. Knowing that he's the leader and that if she can get him up, then it'll strengthen the morale of the crew, keep them going.
Okay, so I will let you make an athletics check with advantage.
A 16 on the die, so a 15 total.
Excellent. That is the number I had in my head. So you wrap the rope around your forearm a couple of times, and you literally put your feet on the side of the ship and fall backwards, and you're able to lift him up. As you hit the deck, you can see first his hand and then the sword thunk into the deck, and he's able to pull himself up. The bear is watching this thing again slowly. You can see his head turn to look at you fall, and then look at the hands come up, and then he cracks his neck. Okay, Feidhelm, you're on the ship.
Yeah, Feidhelm just as he stands up, crawling over the edge, brings out his war axe, lets out a couple coughs of water, before finally finding his voice again. He lets out a loud shout, just to let his men know that he's back up on the deck. Through his cry alone, at least, bringing up his war axe, just gonna try to gut this bear.
Alrighty.
It's gonna be a 23 to hit.
Yes, sir.
He's gonna do it for eight piercing.
Nice.
As he just thrusts his dagger straight into his gut.
Nice.
Or war axe.
Yep, you can see that the various axe and slashes and stuff haven't seemed to cut his skin too deeply, he's calloused all over or something. But you shove the dagger right into him, and he feels it for sure. Okay, that was Feidhelm. The singer is standing where Ragnar and Sigrid are. He's going to make. He's actually going to change the tune of his song a little bit, and he's going to. Okay, he's gonna take out a sprig of mistletoe from his pocket. He's gonna like rub it up in his hands, and then he's gonna blow it into your face, Wagner. I need you to make a wisdom save.
Okay, fingers crossed. That's a natural 20. I'm sorry.
Perfect. Great. No, it's good. You can see it coming at the last second. You like close your eyes and like bring your forearm up, and you can feel like the brrr of these like little darts of mistletoe like smack into you. But he looks shocked and surprised that happened. But he's not able to do anything else. Wagner, your turn.
This singer is Siegfried. Siegfried, is Sigrid still covering him? Like, are you both engaged in combat? Because otherwise,
Yeah, I'm right there. That's why I didn't go to the bear.
And is the bear still menacing and hitting Hvisla? Is he still there?
He's not engaged with her. He's very near her. She like moved because she pulled the rope, but he's like right.
I just stabbed him. I just gutted him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's engaged with Feidhelm.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Shit. I think he's more of a danger. I'm gonna, and I also owe Wagner. Remembers he owes the saver, so he rushes for him instead. Flint dagger's still in hand. His attack is a 17.
That hits.
Okay. Is he far enough away from his allies?
From his allies, yes, but you're like Feidhelm's right next to him, so I don't know if he's alone or if you're alone. I don't know.
Apparently I have to be 10 feet away from anyone who's on my side to get my bonuses.
Okay, well you're not, unfortunately, because Feidhelm's right next to him.
Okay, in that case then that is where did I write it down? Screw it, I'll just roll it again. That is 9 points of damage with the daggers.
Piercing, right? Yeah, nice. Okay.
It is, yeah.
He's starting to bleed pretty heavily from the dagger wounds, and you can see that, you know, he's burly as fuck, and he's huge and rippled with muscle, although he's starting to be a little bit slower. Dun, 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 dun. Is that right, Jeff? If he hits you from the back, you'd be 10 feet? Oh, because 5'5". Yeah, that is technically correct. So you actually can roll it, Rob.
Excellent. Let me quickly do that now. An extra 3, so an extra 6 damage on top of what I did.
Nice. Technically correct is the best kind of correct. Okay, so 2 flint daggers into the kidneys, it seems, as he's like not looking, and he lets out this like grunting noise.
Oh, and I withdraw.
Okay, yeah, so cunning action to step away. Wait, you can't, because if you attack with your other hand, that's your bonus action.
Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah, he's going to turn around and slap you with the back of his hand in the face, hopefully. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, yep, that's a 22 to hit on that one, and a 13 on the second, which will miss. It's going to be 9 bludgeoning.
Ouch! I'm still up.
So there's this big meaty hand just comes and like catches you in the mouth, and you spit some blood and maybe a tooth onto the deck. That was throwing the bear. Sigrid.
Perfect. 11 on my wisdom save, 29 on the percentile dice. Am I still up?
Still up.
Okay. So just quickly, Lloyd, let me know what the battlefield is. So the singer's right next to Sigrid, and then the other 3 of my companions are kind of like situated somewhat around this bear.
Yeah, so if you can imagine, like the ship kind of curves up, right?
Yeah.
You're basically in the middle where the singer is, and there's like dead bodies all around you. There's some of their men, some of your men fighting around you, but there's a bit of a gap, basically, maybe 10 or so feet, where the rest of them are, like up on the curve, you know?
All right. She's just going to try to put her war axe into the singer.
Yes.
18.
18 hits.
11 slashing.
Nice. That's actually over half his hit points. So
really?
He's wimpy. He just sings a lot. He
cut my arm off.
Can you give me a D10, please?
D10. All right. 10.
Okay, so he can't take reactions. As you like clatter him with the axe. Okay, yeah. So you can tell that your side is about to break. You can hear people screaming in fear. You can hear all this like fear all over the place, and you can hear cheers from their side. They can see that like their best warrior, what they can see is like nearing death. That she's like bleeding from this arm wound. That's death for sure, as far as they're concerned. Visa.
Quickly, Lloyd. Sorry to interrupt you, but Sigrid hearing that. And I don't know if this counts as I could do it as a free action. She would just yell out. I'm trying to think what would something that would be a battle cry from the Jarl. Maybe not a battle cry. But she would just yell out because she goes, "I am not ready for Valhalla. Neither are you." And she would probably throw a lot of what little energies she's got into that, but she just wants to try to convince them to keep fighting because she doesn't want them to break because she thinks we can do this.
Okay, nice. Let's see. That was Sigrid. Okay, Hvísla.
Hvísla. Is there a torch in the back of the ship? I presume one that's unlit.
Sure.
She's going.
There's a thick fog, so everything's kind of damp, you know?
Yeah. She'll pick it up and just kind of mutter something under her breath and run her hand over it and light it on fire and hold it kind of out like a weapon against the bear guy.
Okay.
That's her turn.
Flame, and you can see like lit in the fire and the thick mist that he's like covered in blood. You can see how intricate his tattoos are. Like from the neck down, he is covered in like runes and spirals and dragons and serpents all over his body. Okay, Hooker is dead. Feidhelm.
Yeah, as the bear turns and smacks Vagnar, I'm just gonna, with another something between a grunt and a scream, just take his axe and just ram it into, just shank the bear right in the back for a 7 piercing.
Okay, that's 7. Okay, let me count. Not quite. Okay. Yeah. So another shank into the bear from Feidhelm. Skander is dead. The singer is still there. The singer is going to try and smack Sigrid. It's another crit, guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
No.
Lionel. He's not even here. The dice fucking hate him. Oh my god. Okay. It's minimal damage. It's 3 damage. Which may not kill him, but
I don't think that's the problem.
I don't think it is either. Okay, it doesn't look to be too bad in terms of the crit itself. Let's find out.
I got critted again.
Yep. This singer has it out for you, man.
Yeah.
He's like not even. He's like the worst like mechanical fighter. Okay,
Well, I wouldn't have come back if I'd have known that.
This is a Lloyd game. Being gone doesn't save you. Just ask Caius.
Not at all. Okay, so
no, I didn't think it would save me. I just wouldn't have come back.
So he slashes the axe outwards across your forehead. and there's like this immediate flow of blood into your eyes.
Did I lose an eye?
Not quite. No, it's actually on your forehead. You'll have the blinded condition until you spend an action to wipe away the blood, and each turn there's a percentage chance that it'll be so much that you've taken another action. So he like slashes across your forehead. You only took 3 damage, by the way. But this blood begins to like pour over your face and into your eyes. Jesus, so unlucky, Lionel. Unbelievable.
I'm just getting it all out of the way this first session.
Right.
My plan.
Okay, so that was the fucking singer, man. Just punching so far above his weight. Okay, and Wagner.
So Wagner just takes that backhand to the face, but he uses the momentum to whirl himself around fully. Dizzy, he sees blades clashing, and he can feel it in the air that their side is going to break imminently. They need something to be done. Lloyd, I rolled a 17 against the bear.
That's a hit.
And if I still get my same bonuses that I did last round, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. That's 19 points of damage.
Okay, you take him down.
So Wagner basically rushes and he jumps using a corpse that's on the ground to get himself a bit more height. And I like to think he does like an Achilles thing where he slides the blade in to the side of the neck as he jumps past him and looks at the man's eyes.
Yeah,
as he
perfect.
passes.
Yep, you can now like land behind him, and he like topples to the ground like Boagrius, into the deck of the ship. There's an immediate shout of fear from their side. Like and you can tell looking at Thrand that they think he's invincible. And you thought it too for a long time. Like this is a beast of a man, enormous. And there's like panic going through the ranks now. Most of their command is dead. In fact, to the point where the singer puts up his hands and he says, "Yield, we yield." But it is Sigurd's turn.
I need one more crit. No, actually, so I crit my wisdom save.
Nice.
At the end of the fight. So so I think that makes it probably. And she probably just reaches up and wipes the blood out of her eyes. This is not probably the first time she's been cut across the face. But now it's like that adrenaline is starting to leave her, and her axe just kind of clunks to the deck, and I think she follows it.
Yeah.
That would be the time I think she just finally passes out or goes unconscious from the blood loss.
That makes sense. Then it goes to Wisla. They've offered surrender.
Wisla, she instead of holding the torch out like a weapon, she holds it up high and looks at Feidhelm and waits for his instructions.
Yeah, Feidhelm would kind of just brandish his war axe just up into the air. And just with a shout, just, "The battle is won! If you offer surrender, we will accept it. Any men who do not wish to die will have the opportunity to prove themselves worthy once again. Have the offer to fight for me, fight for us. If you prove yourselves, you may earn yourselves worthy of a share in the spoils. Anyone who will drop their weapons and join, let it be known you'll be saved from the pain of death."
The singer says, "We'll have your oath that you'll not bring any harm to us when we drop our weapons."
As long as I have your oath in return, you'll serve me, follow my orders, and do as me. For as long as I wish, I decide you have done your share to earn your release and a share. If you swear it, then I will swear it in return.
There's like a moment where you're kind of standing at the top of the ship now, and the singer is down below, and then like on the side, your men have been fighting theirs, and they're kind of still standing in this sort of shield wall. And they're like looking between each other, and most of them are like, "It sounds pretty reasonable." I don't know. And they kind of look to the singer, and he says, "We won't be thralls. We'll be part of the crew."
Only after you prove loyalty and effectiveness and trust.
We've been thralls before. We'll not do that again. We'll not bow and scrape. We'll not be slapped around. We'll join you. We can see that you're capable. Maybe you'll make us rich. We won't be thralls. And there's like nods from the others.
Vagnar basically is sidled up to Feidhelm and he's bleeding heavily. The man looks like he's on death's door, but he's still able to say, "They're in no position to be making demands." And then he kneels and puts pressure on Sigrid's arm.
So the best way to actually fix it would be to cauterize it, just for a second, because it's to the point where, like, if you don't do that, she's just going to bleed.
Yeah, Feidhelm has a torch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Vagnar looks to Uthil and shares a look and gives her a nod, looking at the torch.
Right, and while they're doing that, Feidhelm would just return with, "Here are my terms. We'll fight 2 battles. No share. A matter of earning trust. Showing that you'll stay and fulfill your bargain. Upon the 3rd battle, we'll be accepted as free men with a share of any earnings."
The singer kind of looks around at his men, and they're kind of, some of them are like, "That seems fair," and most of them are like shaking their heads. If we swear an oath to the gods, we'll be bound by it. I'm a singer, and I would not break such an oath. And I'll hold these men to it. We'll join you. We won't serve you.
You'll be given honorable work like any other free men of the crew. I don't need you in chains. I need you with weapons.
Visla would mutter to Feidhelm, just under her breath, say, 2 raids and they prove themselves. They could earn their freedom.
Yes, that's the goal. Even before the third raid, you will not be treated like slaves. You'll prove yourselves and earn your keep. And then you'll earn your share once you've shown worthy and good cause, we'll say.
All right. All right. I'm Ornog.
Feidhelm. Well, let it be done then. Gather
You'll
the
see to a
men.
proper burial for our men. For Goldenbeard.
For your men and for ours.
All right.
We'll take the supplies that we need. We'll leave them with a weapon to go to the Allfather with. But cannot spare any of the other supplies. I'm sure you'll understand.
All right. But not at sea. We can't give them to Ran, the sea bitch. On land. All right, then. You heard him, boys. And like there's a sort of
Right, men.
rustling of like as his men's going to stand down.
Let's get the ships back in order. Waste no time that we don't have to. We ride for better things than this.
All right, so we're just going to take a quick break there so I can put loot in the chat and so on. If you want to grab a quick drink.
Yeah. During that break, Visla's like heating up a seax on the torch, and she'll put it on the wound and cauterize it of Sigurd's arm until she's sure that the blood loss has stopped. At least from that one.
Yeah, luckily Sigurd's unconscious, so she doesn't have to deal with the cauterizing.
Oh, I imagine even though she's unconscious, her body still like kind of just
Yes.
goes rigid. And it's a good thing. Oh my gosh, Vagnar is kind of holding the arm for her. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm tempted to say when we've secured our position a bit better, we can send these guys back to this location because they must do pretty well from pincering ships in this place and just robbing them for what they have. It's a good tactic. It's a good way of making money and getting weapons.
The situation is that there are 3 longships here, but you only have a crew enough for one of them. Now, there is one longship that's much bigger than the one you have now. It's like a size category up, which is definitely the best choice. But then you'd be leaving the Jarl's longship here. Like you just don't have the people to move them all. Something to think about. I'm just going to go for a quick wee. Alrighty, I'm back.
That was quite the brawl.
Yes, it
That
was.
was a great fight. I knew that was going to be tough from the beginning.
Welcome to the game, Lionel. You're
Jesus,
here.
yeah. That's miserable.
No, what was terrible is I was one round away from pulling out my shield, which I could have soaked that first crit.
Yep.
Well, I guess I
Yep.
could have definitely soaked both of them because I guess a rimmed shield will soak two crits.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Actually, I'm already thinking. I go, this is
Wow.
great. I mean, she's the best. She's also an Iron Eye, which Brynjolf lost his eye. So it's almost like a badge of honor to lose like a piece of your body.
Oh, how many men?
Good point. So you get Haukur the singer, and then there would have been, how many did you have? You had 30-ish. You would have lost some, but you would gain, let's see. You would gain 20 outlaws. Your homework
We
between
lost 10?
this, you would have lost not quite 10. I'm going to roll a dice and see. Your homework between this game and the next one is to name those 20 outlaws. You lost 8 men, and you will have to choose from among the named people which ones they were.
All that stuff in the dock.
You don't have to name all 20 of them, but it is. I always found it really helpful in the game that we played, Lionel, to like have names and stuff, so that when some of them do something cool, you can like upgrade them or whatever. It's nice to keep track of.
Oh yeah, I vividly remember some of the guys that we had in our crew. It was awesome.
For sure. So you got some nice stuff off the Golden Beard. He has this fine helmet. He's got a lovely Warsiax metal and shield and a coat of mail, which is really nice.
Yeah, I would definitely like at least to grab the shield, considering mine is now at the bottom of the ocean.
You're the Carl. You decide who gets what.
Yeah, that's a good question. Same time, Feidhelm's not quite the demander that perhaps some of the other Carls have been in the past. So he would still.
Also, the hardest part of being a leader in these games is when you get loot, doling it out. That's like the hardest part.
Excuse me.
So the other question is, which of the longships are you going to keep? Are you going to keep the one that the Jarl gave you? Are you going to take Rauthurdreki, which is the huge, or the much bigger than your ship, longship? It's like a size category up. Or there's one that's smaller than your ship, which is the little one that pulled up next to you. So you have kind of a choice there. You could fully crew your ship now with the crew you have, or you could basically do what you had before on your ship on the big ship. So you'd have, I think you have, what do you got? 20, you got nearly 40 dudes, I think, right?
Yeah. I think a bit above. Wouldn't it be 42? When we have 30. We lost 8
Yeah.
when we got 20.
Yep.
Would it be considered an insult or slight in any way to leave the Jarl's ship and take the bigger and better ship?
I think the Jarl would probably expect that you would give him this new ship.
Yeah, I was gonna
upon
say he
our
probably would
return.
just expect that we give him the nicer ship.
Which would be a fucking blow, because this ship is big enough that it's like worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's
I know.
what I was thinking.
Choices.
But at the same time, the value doesn't get us anywhere if we leave it here either.
Wisla would, as Feidhelm's turning this over in his mind, she'd speak to him quietly. Is there not a place we could leave one or two of these? Surely these pirates had a beach, a safe place. We can beach the ships and come back if we have more men.
There's no guarantee that they wouldn't be found and taken. But I guess it's
Aye.
a better option than leaving them here in the ocean.
It's that or scuttling them.
I mean, you could put the dead in the smaller ship and burn it and sell them away.
They requested that the men weren't buried at sea. Would that count as a sea burial?
I think like
Or is
that's
that kind of its own thing?
yes, it's its own thing, and it's like pretty usually because the burning of a ship is so expensive. Like it's usually reserved for people who are like very well off. Like a jarl could afford to burn a ship when he dies, but not many others could. You know.
Might serve to improve relations with our new friends.
It's true. The smaller ship off. And then is this the bigger ship? Would you say, because I know you said this Jarl ship was kind of like of medium quality, not completely tattered, but not great. Is this larger ship in better condition?
I would say that it's more used. Like it's got a lived-in sort of look, you know. Like it's been patched up obviously many times. It's been in lots of combat. But it's a bigger ship. It's like a thicker ship, you know. Like the hull is much heavier. There's room in there for a lot more people, which is a good thing and a bad thing because you don't have that many people. So if you were to crew this one, you would only really have half a crew for it, you know, like the way you were when you came. Like you only really had half a crew for the ship you were in. It's saleable, but it's not ideal. You know, if you had a full complement of crew, which you could now have on your ship, you'd be able to move much faster and stuff like that and defend it better.
Yeah, but if the plan is to continue to ramp up in men, then having room to grow perhaps might be better than maxing out this one right now.
It's up to you. I mean, you wouldn't be able to take the big ship and a little ship, but you could take both of the smaller ships. But they would be barely crewed, you know. So, like, if combat were to happen, there would be a problem for sure.
Yeah.
So it's risky, but then you got two boats, which is great.
I'm not sure it's worth it. I think unless anybody objects to this, and I'm open to hearing other views, I think perhaps probably the most effective for what we're trying to do be to send the dead off in the small ship and burn it, and then try to beach the Jarl's ship somewhere nearby, and just, you know, if it gets stolen, then it gets stolen, but we don't really have much of a choice either way. And then crew the bigger ship with the intention of picking up more people as we raid and potentially buy mercenaries to eventually fill it out and have more space long term. That's my initial thought.
And dissuading others from attacking us.
It's a good point. They don't know that it's not fully crewed before they do anything. So a bigger, more intimidating ship is the scarier target, and it's a scarier to defend from.
Aye. Something greater to hang your banner upon, too.
Indeed.
Like if they hadn't jumped down onto your ship, you would have had a difficult time getting up onto theirs. You know what I mean? Because it's quite a bit higher in the water.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. What Taylor said in the chat. The wolf head the figurehead of the ship, of the Jarl's ship. I think we will. I don't think leave that on the Jarl's ship as we leave. I think we take that as.
Okay. Yep. So Hoker would tell you that they have a cove where they would sleep most of the time. That he can bring you there if you want to beach this thing.
Yeah, I think we'll lock that in as the plan. Then we're going to give a burning funeral to ours and their dead. Well, I guess it's just all us now. There's no them. A proper burial on that ship. Beach the Jarl's ship in their cove, and then crew the big ship.
Okay.
With the Jarl's figurehead in tow.
Okay, sounds good. So Hauker will lead you in that direction. It's a very difficult sail because there's lots of bits where there's rocks sticking up, and you got to kind of sail through those, threading the needle, trying to find this place. But he knows it inside out. Despite the thick mist, he's able to bring you, and you can basically drag the other ship behind you, tow it to some extent, and then place it there. Yeah. He Hooker calls you over, Karl. He says, "Can I have a word in private?"
Certainly.
Look, it's a kind thing you did, accepting our surrender. It sits ill with me and all of the men that we should be thralls, that we should scrape and bow. You haven't asked us to do those things, but we've lived a life of freedom. That's why we live out here in the middle of fucking nowhere. We don't like chains, don't like titles. Doesn't suit us. Now let's suggest that maybe somewhere on this island where we have lived for a long time, there might be some things buried, some shiny things. If I was to tell you where those were, would you revoke this thrall thing?
So I understand your terms. You have knowledge of treasure hidden in the area, and you would offer that to me, and in return, instead of having two battles to prove a share earnings, you would ask for shares from the start as fully free men.
Aye, and I be treated as a rank above the rest. I don't know what ranks you have here, but something closer to a huskarl.
How much value do you estimate you have hidden?
Depends on if you agree or not.
And how do I know then that this exchange is of good value? If I'm to trust you as free men, I'll need to know that the terms you offer me are fair.
You've got us outnumbered, and you've shown that you can defeat us. Won't be much good to me if I lie. But I'm wary of telling you how much and where it is before you agree to the deal and we swear an oath on it.
Let me ask you then, if you had your knowledge of the treasure, which you do, and you were in my position, you accept the deal? Would you think that it would be fair?
You're a clever one, I can tell that. But you're trying to get me to admit to information, and I won't do it. You take the deal on the terms and the information I've given you, or you don't. We can fight 2 battles, or you can call us equals now.
Even as you are equals, still have your loyalty and your swords in the coming battles. While you guys would have a share, you'd still not have the whole share. Everyone would get their share.
It's how we always did it. Everyone gets a share. Captain gets more. Huskarls get a little bit more. Everybody else gets some. We had it, the captain gets 5 shares. Huskarls get 3. Everyone else gets 1.
I'll accept your terms as to the treasure and the share of coming treasure. However, will be granted title as a warrior and a Huskarl, and I have seen in battle. Only one battle will suffice. Won't ask for too much. I won't give you rank, just offhand. All rank must be earned. The rest of the terms, though, I'll agree.
Then it stays here, and we'll fight the 2 battles.
Your own ambition would outweigh the freedom of your other men.
Got to look out for yourself, haven't you? You didn't get to where you are by not making deals like this. It's not known to the rest of the crew where it is. It was me and Skander and Hauker and Thrand. I'm the only one left.
You know, I can admire that. Fine. It's a deal then. You'll have your rank, I'll have the treasure. Your men will fight, but they'll have a share.
All right then, come with me.
Wagner is going to approach Feidhelm, and he's just going to say abruptly, "Can you wake her up?" Looking down at Sigrid.
Perhaps it would be best for her to sleep. She has lost much blood.
Yes, she has. She's also lost a fucking arm. At this point, being unable to row, just another mouth to feed. Maybe better if she doesn't wake up at all.
It's the bristles at that. That is not your decision, nor your right.
But it makes sense, Sigla.
Her right arm is still good. She can wield an axe, probably better than you.
He just spits. You may have done me a favor, which, but seeing as I killed that bear in front of you, say we're even now.
You think fighting in a battle along with everybody else makes us even?
I was going to bash your skull in.
You'd have had to get through Feidhelm first.
Duh. He's a man who knows what he's doing. He looks down at Sigrid once again. I repeat, can you wake her up?
I already answered you. I can. But I don't think it's a good idea.
Nah. All right. I'll be sure to give her portion and yours to someone else.
A portion of what, outlaw?
Food's scarce on the sea. Do you want to keep her alive? Should be your portion of food that's sacrificed.
Very well. You tell her that when she wakes up, and see if your face is still intact after she's done with you.
One-armed women don't scare me. And he fucking turns around and he walks away.
Beasley keeps a close eye on Sigrid after that, never leaving her alone with Vagnar.
Hauker leads you, Feidhelm, onto the cove and through this cave and out the other side to this like hidden little cove. And as he gets to the edge, he like begins to count his steps. 6 in this direction, 8 in this direction, yada yada yada. Very very specific. Until he gets to a point. Here, help me dig. And he just like with his hands begins digging.
Yeah, Feidhelm would help.
It's maybe 15 or so minutes of digging. It's pretty exhausting work, and you're like sweating towards the end. But then finally, you hit this like thunk as your knuckles kind of smack into wood, and between the two of you, you're able to like pull this chest up out of the sand. There's like a lock as well, and he like fishes around in his pack before he finds this little key and opens it. And inside there is silver and gold coins. To a value, after a little bit of counting, 1,200 hack silver. It says, look, it's only you and me here. Maybe there's not 1,200, there's 1,000 even. What do you think?
Feidhelm would kind of smirk at that. $1,000 hack silver is a worthy deal after all. Lucky we found it.
Too right, too right. And he begins like fishing out coins and putting them into his pack and he like wraps it so it doesn't jingle with cloth and stuff like that before he puts it all away. And 100 for yourself. So between two of you, you can like carry this chest back. It's pretty heavy between two of you. That's a lot of coins. You can like drag it, and when you finally get to the other side, you can like drop it and show the men. And there's like a big cheer. It's been a successful run so far. So do you want to take a rest before you head out, or what's the situation?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me see. Yes.
So to get a proper long rest, you'd need a week of rest here. It's a cove and it's like comfortable, and they have it set up where people live here, so it would count as a steading, so you get a proper long rest in.
Yeah, while we were resting, Feidhelm would find a point to approach Vagnar. And he walks up to him. No, proven to be pretty useful so far. Here. And he throws something at your feet, just clatters onto the ground. And it's the captain's fine Sayax.
Ragnar just looks at it. Looks at you in the eyes. Then stoops to pick it up. He weighs it in his hand. Gives it a twirl, testing its balance. And with a grim nod, he accepts it. Do you trust him? And he gives a nod over the singer.
He's an interesting one. He's ambitious, but he'll go where the money goes. We can
Aye.
make sure that where the money goes will stay with us.
The wounded. What's to be done with them?
Ones that can be rehabilitated. Every man counts on the sea and in a battle.
And what of the maimed?
Even the maimed can still fight. As long as they're not dead.
As you say.
Every body counts on a ship and in a shield wall. All of them.
Ragnar nods.
That
So
Feidhelm
you,
will turn to do go back to other things.
you spend a week in this little cove, set up pretty comfortable lodgings and stuff, and you can get a good rest in. The arm, after a week having been cauterized, whatever, it's still obviously very sore. But luckily, like the joint is still there, so there's like the stump. You can still do this with it, which is valuable in itself. I'm sure that you could figure out a way to strap a shield to the top half of your arm if you wanted to.
Actually, I was going to ask you that, Lloyd. In that, do these guys have some sort form of smith or something like that? Because one of the things that Sigrid is skilled in is, as all Iron Eye are just drawn to the forge. So if there's someone that could forge there, Sigrid could not do it. She would probably be in too much pain, convalescing herself. But maybe she would give some guidance to anyone that knows how to work smith tools. And what I'd like to do is make something that like a hook that she could then put on a shield that she would then strap her arm in. But I would imagine once her arm is strapped to the shield, that's it. The only way she probably could get free would she would have to like cut it free. But,
yeah. So I think what they could do here, because there's not a forge here, so you wouldn't be able to get the heat high enough to like melt metal and stuff, I think. But what you could do is like make a wooden prosthetic and like tie that with belts and stuff so that it's something that a shield can wrap around, at least for now.
Yeah, and maybe what she would be doing in the interim is she would take like a skin and she would take a piece of charcoal and she would already start drawing it out. I mean, but one thing I wanted to do though is like a scene where she wakes up after realizing that her arm is gone, her hand is like gone from here down. Because I actually played out that fight like she didn't even realize.
Yeah,
like
sure.
She knew that she was badly wounded. She felt the spray of blood, but like with the adrenaline pumping, she didn't even know her hand was gone. She just thought maybe the cut had made the axe fall from her hand, so she just grabbed it up. Because what was it really? It was probably like what 24 seconds from when she lost her hand to when she passed out.
It was barely any time.
So I imagine what folks would hear when she wakes up, and I guess it would be Visla, because she stayed so close to Sigrid because she doesn't trust Ragnar, wise woman. But she would wake up and she would be like, "Oh, we survived the fight then," and there would be that thing, and for her, she would still feel her hand. Then how people that have lost limbs say that they have that phantom limb feel, and she would like reach up, and that's when she would like the stump would hit her like bandaged forehead. And that's when she would realize, and then she would just start to like quietly weep. I mean, because let's face it, she's a Huskarl. She lives to fight, but now she's lost her hand. And I would imagine there's several hours of just that quiet weeping, and until she kind of like gives into like exhaustion and sleeps. And this is just totally in her mind. But she dreams of Brynjolf, the forefather of the Iron Eyes, and in her vision, in this dream that she has, he tells her that these things are not setbacks, but only make us stronger, and that reinvigorates her and her purpose.
He would tell you that like Tyr, the god of war, lost a hand.
Yes.
He was still the greatest.
I knew there was a god that did. I couldn't remember who it was. Tyr, yes. Yeah. And look at him. And I would probably say after that point, you would look at her shield, and not only that, but she's scratching Tyr's rune into her shield. Oh, yes. Yeah. Awesome. Yes. Awesome. And thank you for letting me have that scene.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. So you get the rest in. The men, Hauker's men, are not causing a scene. They're like drinking sullenly, and you can see that there's like a deep sadness among them at the loss of their friends. Like they may have been, outlaw raiders to you, but they were friends to these men. And there's a sadness among them. They talk very well of Skander, that he was generous, and that he was a great storyteller. And they start to mingle with your men, and they fit in pretty quickly. Although, even so, I think your men kind of sleep with their weapons just in case. You are technically outnumbered by them. So there's a little bit of uneasy feeling for now. Where to next?
I think with the rest behind them and a newfound crew, plan would be to continue as it was before. Continue to head south with the intention of finding suitable places to raid.
So they would actually tell you, or Hauker would tell you, of like, they would scout the coast of Sutherford a lot, during the winter for places that aren't too heavily protected and stuff. So when the summer comes in, they can raid. And he would kind of give you some ideas of where you can go and things like that. And so I guess like you'd get all packed up onto the, what the hell did I call it? The Rother Dreki, the Red Dragon, which is your big ass ship. And once you loaded up, you would sail out of these islands, out of the mist, and into sort of the clear and surprisingly sunny seas of Sjöderford. But we'll pick up the raiding next time. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I don't think if enjoy is the right word, but I certainly had a good time. And thank you for watching. If you did, catch you next time.